On day 1, I spawned in as a baby dragon. Whoa, I'm no ordinary dragon. I'm a warden dragon.
Wow.
I opened my mouth and shot out some dragon breath, and shot off a sonic boom. They were both pretty weak, but still cool. That's when I noticed a nearby ender dragon and warden. Hey, I have the same powers as you guys. You must be my parents. My mom and dad were excited to see me, and everything was happy. But suddenly, a big buff evil Steve came out of nowhere.
What's this? A warden and a dragon combined? I already hate dragons, but a dragon combined with a warden is even worse.
Run, Zozo. We'll hold him off.
I wanted to help, but she was right. I was too weak. As I watched the battle, I saw that Buff Steve was able to destroy my dad. No, how can he be so powerful? Buff Steve then captured my mom. I had to hurry away.
You get back over here, or your mom will never be free.
Don't worry about me. Run to a portal and destroy it behind you.
I listened to my mother like any good boy should, and ran away before Buff Steve could capture me. I ran into a nether portal to escape. On day 2, I came teleporting through a nether portal, landing in the overworld.
Wow.
I turned and shot off my sonic boom, destroying the portal behind me. I don't know how much time that buys me, but I have to get stronger to save my mom. If I was going to save my mom, I had to get the gear to do it. Using my claws, I began gathering up some nearby materials in order to build a base. I don't need anything fancy yet, I just need something that can keep me safe. Speaking of being safe, I was suddenly attacked by a bear. Get back! I have claws too! But trying to win this fight was foolish. I had no choice but to run. Oh boy, it looks like the overworld is just as dangerous as the nether. I kept running until I found myself on a nice, steep mountain. If I hollow this place out, this could make for a perfect base. Excited with the idea, I got right to it, building my base. I have so many ideas of how I can improve it, but we'll start simple for now. Soon, the start of the base was ready. I feel like it's going pretty good so far. Tomorrow will bring me one step closer to saving my mom. On day 3, I kept mining down into the mountain when I popped out on the other side. But as luck would have it, there was something unexpected. Is that an ender dragon nest?
Wow.
It looked like there was an egg inside of it too. Just then, a phantom appeared. He got closer to the egg. He was going to eat it. Oh no you don't, the dragons are my friends! The phantom clearly didn't expect anyone to be here, and I was able to hit him hard. In no time, I managed to take him out. Finally, it feels good not to run away for once. And what's this? The phantom had dropped some phantom skin, which I picked up. With it gone, I was able to get really close to the egg. That's when I saw there was a note nearby. My dear child, if you are reading this, then something has happened to me. I was setting out in search of food for us. It is very likely that a powerful being called Steve may come after us. He collects powerful creatures like us dragons. Take care and stay safe. Oh no, it's not just me. Dragons everywhere are in trouble. It's not enough to just save my mom from Buff Steve. I'm going to have to defeat him. I quickly picked up the egg to take it back to my base. I could keep it safe there. On days 4 to 5, I arrived back at my base. I got right to work building an incubator for the egg. If it was going to hatch safely, it needed a good environment to thrive in. Just as I finished up, I heard a noise outside. I ran out and saw even more phantoms. Oh man, you guys really want this egg! Well, just try and take it. The phantoms did their best to take me out, but they were no match for me. They would have to try harder than that if they wanted to win. With the 2 phantoms defeated, I picked up the phantom skin they had dropped. Oh, I know just what to make with this! I went over to my crafting table and used the phantom skin to make myself some phantom skin armor. It was about as strong as leather armor, but it would be better than nothing. On days 6 to 8, I was starting to get hungry and decided to go look for food. I was a little nervous about leaving the egg behind, but if I couldn't get food, then no one would be able to protect it. I soon came across a village. Hi there, please, do you have any food to spare? The villagers took one look at me and ran away. I guess they weren't used to meeting friendly dragons, or friendly wardens for that matter. Well, no one is around, so bon appetit. I got right to work attacking the animals around. Sure, it felt bad to hurt other animals, but hey, a dragon's gotta eat. And there's no way I was going to eat a salad.
At last, I found you!
I looked and saw Buff Steve standing there. This time he had on dragon armor. He was even stronger than before. You, what do you want?
Isn't it obvious? You!
He clearly wasn't in the mood to chat, and I had no choice but to fight. I started swinging, but it was clear he was too strong.
Looks like you're all mine.
I saw a window to escape, and I took it. I had to get out of there, and fast.
You might have slipped away this time, but mark my words, I'll find you.
He was probably right, but today was not that day. On days 9 to 10, I had made it back to my base. That's when I heard a noise coming from the incubator. Oh no, the egg is in trouble! I ran into the room to find the egg was still there, but it was hatching. Suddenly, a small baby ender dragon climbed out.
Are you my mom?
Who, me? No, I'm Zozo.
Oh, so where's my mom?
I'm not sure, but she left this note in your nest. It was there when I found you, and then I brought you here to keep you safe. The little dragon read the note. I guess being able to read was a gift us dragons get at birth.
I see. I wish I could have just stayed in my egg. It's sad out here.
Hey, it's okay. There's a lot of cool things to do in the world too.
Really? Like what?
I thought about it for a moment, then told her to follow me. I instructed her to mine out a big room in the mountain because we were going to build a cool statue. I wanted to be sure we built it out of sight though, so Buff Steve wouldn't be able to find our base. The little dragon seemed to really enjoy the creative process and was much happier as we finished the first part. This is a good start, but do you have any guesses as to what it's going to be? I then got to work building her a room to stay in. I knew how hard it was to get your mom taken away from you, so I wanted to be sure she was happy and comfortable. Soon, her room was completed too. On days 11 to 12, the little dragon came out of her room to chat.
Hey Zozo, what's my name?
Oh, I guess you were born yesterday and could probably use one of those. How about Sivith?
Sivith? Yeah, that sounds cool. Oh, and Zozo?
Yeah, Sivith?
I'm hungry.
Oh, right. Hang tight. I'll get both of us something to eat. I went out into the land to try and find some crows to eat. After a bit of searching, I spotted a few. As I got closer though, I spotted a human nearby. Oh no, it's Steve! I went to run away when they called out to me.
Wait, little dragon!
That's when I realized it wasn't Buff Steve. I waited until they got a little closer.
Hey, don't worry. I'm not here to hurt you like Steve. My name is Alex.
What do you want?
I want to help you. Steve and I used to be friends, but not anymore.
What happened?
Steve and I used to adventure together, along with our friend Brianna. One day we were exploring the Nether and came across the Nether Dragon. The dragon didn't mind us being there until Brianna decided to mess with the dragon's eggs. There's something magical about them, and Brianna got too close. The Nether Dragon destroyed her as the three of us tried to escape. I was sad, but Steve was angry. He vowed to take revenge on all dragons. He finds them and locks them away in his base as revenge. Through this, he has become stronger, but more evil, turning into what he is today. I feel like it's my responsibility to stop him.
Thank you for sharing that with me. He captured my mom and my friend's mom. If we team up, we can stop him.
Yes, I was thinking that as well. Although, I think it's important for me to keep searching for more dragons, so I can warn them about Steve. But here, take this horn. If you ever need to talk to me, you can use this.
I took the horn and thanked her for her help. Maybe we could defeat him after all. On days 13 to 15, I continued looking for food as I thought about everything Alex had told me. Oh no, it's that bear again! I have to fight him off, otherwise I might not be able to find more food for days. I was stronger now, so I charged in to fight. The bear was still really strong and really packed a punch. But everyone was counting on me. I couldn't lose. I kept swinging and finally took him out. What's this? I feel so much more powerful. Suddenly, I leveled up, growing in size and gaining more hearts. Whoa, I feel amazing! If I keep growing like this, maybe I can actually stop Buff Steve. I quickly gathered up the chickens and started leading them back to the base. On days 16 through 19, I arrived back at the base with the chickens. I got right to work building a coop for them to live in. Once the coop was complete, I went over to Sivith to tell her about the chickens, and also Alex.
This Alex sounds really nice, but I do have one question about everything you told me.
What's that?
Why are we eating eggs? Dragons come out of eggs too, so that seems kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It's different. Try not to think about it too much. I left Sivith to think about life and got to work building a mine. I might be able to grow in strength, but I can also build strength by making better armor and weapons. Speaking of which, I found some iron. Oh, perfect! I can finally get rid of my leather armor. This is great! Back in the base, I smelted down all of the iron, then used the iron to make myself a fresh set of armor and weapons. I'm feeling better already. On days 20 to 22, I woke up with a bad feeling in my stomach. I went to Sivith's room and saw she was missing. Sivith? Sivith, where are you? Just then, I heard another sound. It was the horn Alex had given me. She was calling me. I ran out of the base toward the sound. Maybe Alex knew what had happened to her. Soon, I saw Alex. What's going on?
Zozo, I called for you as soon as I could. I caught sight of Steve. He was chasing a baby dragon. That's not your friend, right?
I don't know. It might be. She wasn't in her room this morning.
Oh no. I'm not strong enough to face Steve yet, but I'll tell you where you need to go.
Alex explained where she saw them, and I hurried off. I soon got to the place Alex described and saw Steve was about to capture Sivith. I had to do something. Hold it right there, Steve. I jumped between the two of them.
Out of my way. I hate dragons, and this one is no different. Wait, you're that warden dragon I saw earlier. You're the worst kind of dragon of all.
Quick, Sivith, run! Steve wasn't paying attention, and Sivith was able to get away. Steve was then so distracted by her escaping that I was able to escape too.
Hang on, you're not getting away this time.
Steve chased after us, and I tried to knock him back while Sivith got away. He was still too strong, but I was able to get enough hits in to stop him from capturing us. Sivith managed to get away. Soon after, I was able to lose Steve in the trees. Sivith and I met back up, then hurried back to the base. On days 23 to 26, Sivith and I arrived back at the base. I was really worried about what had happened.
I'm so sorry, Zozo. Are you mad at me?
That depends. What happened? Did Steve find our base?
No, I left to go and find more supplies to upgrade our stuff when Steve came out of nowhere and tried to grab me. So you don't need to be mad because he didn't find our base.
I would have been worried if he found our base, but I'm mad that you left. You could have been captured and I would have never seen you again. I could tell Sivith felt really bad. Look, it's okay. I'm sorry for being mad. I know you were just trying to help, but right now it's too risky. Promise me you'll stay at the base from now on?
Okay, I promise. But Zozo?
Yeah?
Before Steve popped out, I did see something interesting. I think you should go check it out.
Sivith explained where I needed to go, and she was right. It did sound like a good place to go. Nice one, Sivith. I'll go take a look. After a bit, I arrived at the place she described. It was a large temple. I stepped inside and was immediately attacked by a bunch of husks. Oh, go drink some water, you dust heads! The husks did their best to bring me down, but I took them out first. After the last one had disappeared, I saw something interesting. Oh, and what might this be? I took a look and saw that there was a bone sword. Wow, this is cool! That's when I realized that the sword also gave me a special ability. Now I could spit spikes. Now that is awesome and mildly confusing. I tested it out, sending spikes shooting at the wall. As I hit the wall, murals started to appear. Just then, a mummy came out and attacked me. Oh, someone is jealous of my spit takes. I kept launching spit spikes at him, slowly wearing him down. He was not a fan, but it didn't matter because I had to survive this. Soon enough, he was gone. So what's up with these murals? I took a closer look and realized they told the story of an epic adventure. One you can watch if you search for my channel, Zozo, Z-O-Z-O. This is when I survived 100 days as Moses. You'll really like that one if you're liking this one so far. On days 27 to 31, I had left the temple and arrived back at the base. As I entered my base, I could barely recognize Sivith. She was now the same size as me. Wow, Sivith, you're even stronger now, and I know just the way to celebrate. Sivith and I headed out to do some more work on the statue. Sivith felt like a little sister to me, and I was happy to have someone on my side. Together we could do anything. We were finishing up the next part of the statue when Sivith had a thought of her own to share.
This is looking good, but something isn't quite right. Feels like it could use a different material.
I think you're right, and I know just what to get. I took off to grab the material I had in mind. I am a little bigger now. I wonder if I can fly. I gave it a shot and found that while I couldn't fly, I could glide. Well, that's better than nothing. I soon arrived at the bottom of the hole, but was soon attacked by straddlers. Out of my way, I've got a statue to save. The straddlers did their best to knock me down, but they were no match for me. With them out of the way, I quickly found what I was looking for. This amethyst is just what we need. I can't wait to see if it looks good on the statue. I mined up as much amethyst as I thought we'd need, then got ready to head back to the base. The statue is going to look amazing now. On days 32 to 35, I was on my way back to the base when I was attacked out of nowhere by piglins. What are you nosy oinkers doing out here? I fought them off using everything I had until the last of them were defeated. That's when I heard something nearby. Hey, were you hiding from the piglins? It's okay now.
The dragon is talking to me.
The villager was so scared and tried to get away from me. But just then, another piglin popped out and started chasing after him. Hey, watch out! I rushed over and took on the piglin. In no time, I was able to defeat him.
You saved me? Wow, thanks.
No problem. Where did all of these piglins come from anyway?
I'm not sure, but my village is full of them. We could really use someone like you to come and clear them out for us. Would you be willing to help?
Say no more. I'm on the case. On days 36 to 39, I followed the villager back to his village. As we got closer, I could see he was right. The village was full of piglins. Let's try to get a better view of what's going on. We snuck around the outside of the town to get a better viewpoint of what was happening.
You see that structure in the middle of the town? That's where everyone is probably hiding out.
Got it. Hang back. I'm going to rush in there and get everyone out.
Whoa, hang on. I know you took those guys out back there, but those were just low-level scouts. You can't hope to take on all of those guys down there at once.
Okay, so what do you suggest?
It will be nighttime soon enough. I think we might be able to sneak in and get everyone out safely.
I'm good with that plan. We'll give it a shot. On days 40 to 43, the villager and I waited for nightfall. Soon, we saw that the piglins had begun falling asleep. It was time to make our move. Let's do this. We snuck into the village, doing our best to keep quiet. Even the smallest of noises could wake up the piglins. Which just then, there was a clang. My new villager friend accidentally bumped into something.
Sorry.
It was too late though. The piglins were awake and not happy to see us. Looks like it's plan A after all. My new friend was right. These piglins were much stronger than the scouts I had fought outside the village. What he wasn't right about though was my ability to take them on. I was tough, and the piglins fell one by one as I took them out. Soon enough, they were all defeated.
Zozo, you did it!
We then went over to the scared villagers, who weren't exactly happy to see me.
Don't worry, everyone. He's a friend. I know dragons can be scary, but Zozo here was the one who rescued all of us. We owe him our lives.
The villagers were happy to find out I wasn't there to eat them, and it felt good for people to see me as the hero.
Thanks again, Zozo. And in the future, if there's anything we can do for you, just let us know.
Will do. Now I've got a statue to go work on. On days 44 to 49, I returned to my base and got to work adding the amethyst to the statue. Sivith was right. This was just what it needed. All right, now we're making some good progress, but still have a ways to go. What do you think so far? All of the building and rescuing from the previous days had made me realize how badly I needed to be protecting myself from attack, so I made sure to do some work on the base. We were going to need strong defenses and traps if Steve ever found us. It had been a while since I had run into him, but I was sure something was going to happen with him soon. On days 50 to 53, I received a message from Alex. Steve and his goons were on the way to my base. How did they find us?
All I know is that he was told something by a villager.
A villager? After everything I did for that guy, he still didn't trust me.
Oh, no, not the guy that was working with you. Just someone from his village.
Still, it's a shame they would sell us out like that. Well, thanks for the warning. I'll go tell Sivith. I ran over to Sivith. Get ready, Sivith. They're coming for us, and we're going to be in for the fight of our lives. Meanwhile, outside the castle, Steve soon arrived with a gang of other players.
Oh, Zozo, the jig is up. We're here for you and that little friend of yours.
I don't care what you want. We didn't do anything to you. Let us live our lives in peace.
Peace is not an option. Attack!
Steve motioned for two of his soldiers to charge. As they got closer to the door, our trap started firing arrows, which quickly took them out. You're smarter than you look, but there's plenty more where that came from. Next up came an archer, who did their best to try and disable our traps, shooting flaming arrows into them. Unfortunately, that seemed to do the trick, and the trap stopped working. Two griefers came up to the door, laid some TNT, and lit it. But suddenly, the traps came back to life, taking out the archer and trapping the griefers in. There was an explosion, which took them out, but also took out the traps and door. The base was open now, though, and the players started to run in. but not before falling into my pitfall trap. Another noob tried running in too, but fell right into the hole. Just then, someone vented in through the side and took a look in the hole. Unfortunately for them, their Spec Ops teammate popped in and knocked them down the hole. These guys really need to learn to work together. He filled in the hole, and the rest of the team charged in. Bring it on! The players charged at me, while I did my best to fight them off. Leave us alone! We didn't do anything to you! Most of the players were pretty weak, but I could hear someone setting off explosions in the background. I had to hurry. I had defeated most of the players, when one stronger one with a flaming sword stepped up to fight. Look man, you don't want to mess with me. The player simply attacked. His flaming sword was really strong and kept setting me on fire. Yeah, okay, I see why people don't like Dragon's fire breath. Ouch! He was tough, but my attacks were getting the job done. I could tell he was getting weak, and I got him lined up with the edge. Have a good flight! I hit him hard, sending him flying over the edge. Just then, I felt the energy surge through me, and I grew into an even bigger dragon with more hearts. Yes, I feel amazing! Just then, I heard Sivith let out a cry. She was in trouble. I looked and saw she had been captured by Steve. Ha ha ha! Say goodbye to your little friend. Steve ran out of the base with Sivith in chains. I've got to stop him! I ran out of the base, but two more of Steve's players were waiting for me. They weren't very strong, but they gave Steve enough time to get away. I knocked them out, but it was too late. Hang on, Sivith. I'll find you! On days 54 to 57, I got out the horn and gave Alex a call. She arrived soon after.
Zozo, you look so sad. What's wrong?
They got Sivith. I've never felt so hopeless. Do you know where they might be taking her?
I'm sorry, Zozo. I really wish I could help, but I have no idea where they could be going.
I could tell Alex felt really bad, and she offered me some raw beef to cheer me up.
Look, we'll find her. In the meantime, let's get this place fixed up. You won't be of any use to Sivith if they come back and capture you too.
I agreed, and Alex and I got to work repairing the base. We had soon finished up the repairs, but I was still feeling a little bit down. One thing that I thought might help, though, was working on the statue. Alex offered to help on that as well, which made me grateful to have a friend in her. I was so worried about myself and my problems, I hadn't really thought much about what Alex was going through. Thanks for all of your help, Alex. I know you're going through a lot too, so it means a lot you are willing to help me.
Anytime, Zozo. Now take care. I've got some things to take care of.
I said goodbye and got ready for bed. Tomorrow I would figure out what I needed to do to save Sivith. On days 58 to 62, I headed into the mines. I didn't know where I needed to go to find Sivith, but I knew I needed to be stronger before I could do anything anyway. As I explored the mines, I was suddenly attacked by silverfish. Ah, these guys have always grossed me out. They were quick little buggers and hard to hit. Lucky for me though, I was able to take them out without taking too much damage. I continued into the mines and soon found some diamonds. Excellent, this is just what I need. I swung my pickaxe and gathered up lots of diamonds. I was going to have much better gear now. With all of my diamonds collected, I made my way back out of the mines. Back in my base, I got right to work crafting all of the diamond gear that I could. Steve wasn't going to know what hit him. On day 63 to 66, I woke up with a brilliant idea. I might not know where Steve is, but I know someone who might. And something tells me they are not going to be happy to see me. I took off towards the village I had saved days earlier. It was time to have a chat with the villager who ratted me out. As I arrived in the village, I saw my friend from earlier. I explained the situation to him, as well as who I was looking for.
I'm sorry to hear it, but I can't say I'm surprised. Billiam has always been the village rat. I know just where you can find him.
We headed off and found Billiam.
Whoa, you're, bigger than the last time we saw you.
I am. I'm quite a bit stronger, too. I can break little villagers like you with no problem.
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, you're not gonna do that, are you?
That's up to you. My home was attacked by Steve and his goons. My friend was taken prisoner. I can't forgive this, but I might be able to look past it if you tell me where I can find her.
I'm sorry, but I don't know where they might have taken her.
Uh-oh, that's the wrong answer. I took a deep breath and got ready to blast him.
Wait, I'm telling the truth. I don't know where they would have taken her, but I can tell you where to find Steve's messenger that I talked to.
I thought about it and decided that was probably the best thing I was going to get from this guy. All right then, looks like today's your lucky day. Billiam spilled everything he knew about where I could find this messenger. After he had told me everything, I headed out. Something tells me Billiam is not going to be very welcome in his village anymore. Sounds like that's in the best interest of everybody. On day 67 to 70, I arrived at the fortress that Billiam had told me about. I charged up to the base and immediately started attacking the guards. Where is your leader? Where is Sivith? The guards weren't interested in my questions and simply did their best to fight me off. But my friend was in danger and nothing was going to stop me. Out of my way, tin heads! As I fought my way through, I soon came across an even bigger guard. This guy was tougher than the first ones, but I wasn't going to let that stop me. He swung at me and did some serious damage. It really hurt, but I swung back and was able to take him out. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. I had made it into the castle, and more of the big guys were trying to take me down. They swung, I dodged, and knocked their blocks off. Hang on, Sivith, I'm coming! On days 71 to 74, I had officially made it into the fortress. It was as if the whole base had been alerted to my presence, as every bad guy in the place was swarming in on me. I don't care how many of you there are, I'm going to make it to the top. As I knocked guard after guard out of my way, I eventually found myself inside a library. Wait a second, what's this? I had found some kind of special item. With this, I have the strongest spike attack I can get. Excited with my new ability, I immediately put it to the test. There were some guards up on the balconies, and I managed to take them out. Oh yeah, whoever this guy is, he's in for a real surprise. On days 75 to 78, I made it to what looked like the lair of the castle's boss. You there, you must know where Steve is keeping his prisoners. Tell me, or else.
Heh, you really think I'm gonna help a dragon? Look at me. Steve has been stealing the power of the dragons to make us stronger, and there's no way you'll be able to defeat me.
What? What does he hope to gain from all of this?
Not only will he finally destroy all dragons, but he will become a powerful dragon himself. Then no one can stop us.
Yeah? Well, this dragon isn't going to let that happen. Bring it on! The henchman and I started to fight. I did my best to fight him off, but since he had been given dragon powers, he was incredibly strong. This wasn't going to be a simple fight. Do you really think Steve will let you live your life once he's king? He's going to turn on anyone who has even a little bit of power.
Silence! You don't know what you're talking about. But it doesn't matter, because you're going to lose.
It looked like there was no talking sense into this guy. The fight was getting intense, but it was time to end it. I focused all of my energy, used all of my attacks, and at long last, I won! The henchman was nearly defeated.
No! How could I lose to a measly dragon?
Last chance, tell me where Steve's base is.
Never!
The henchman leapt forward to attack me, but I took him out instead. Well, maybe there's something around here that can help me out. On day 79 to 84, I started taking a look around the castle. Wait, what's this? Inside of a chest was a bunch of golden apples. Suddenly, there was a sound outside. As I ran out to look, I could see Steve in the distance, and he was looking right at me.
Ah, Zozo, just the one I was looking for.
What do you want, Steve? Where's Sivith?
Who? Who cares? All you need to know is I finally finished my potion. The power of the dragons is finally mine. I received word you were here, so I thought I'd let you be the first one to see.
Steve drank down a potion and suddenly started to change. He turned into a disfigured but powerful dragon. Steve, what have you done?
Ha ha ha! Here, let me show you up close.
Steve took off into the air and flew toward me. I was strong, but not strong enough for this. I couldn't even fly yet. I had no choice but to run.
Come on, Zozo, what's the problem? Afraid of a little fire?
I kept running toward my base as Steve continued to chase me. I had to get to cover. We ran across the land and I finally snuck into my base. Steve flew around for a bit, but realized he couldn't fit inside. After a while, he left. I fear for the worst with Sivith. Is she still alive? On days 85 to 89, I got out of bed after a sleepless night. I had no idea if Steve would be waiting for me outside, and I couldn't risk going out there. I went back over to my statue. I had planned on completing it with Sivith, but I was worried I might not have that chance. I worked on completing the final part. Well, it's all done. It reminds me of Sivith, and she would have been proud of what we did here. I only hope I can avenge her and save everyone else from Steve's insanity. I was feeling more confident than before and stepped over to the ledge. Maybe I was strong enough to fly. I leapt over the edge and sure enough, I was able to get my wings going and fly. Yes, finally! I took some time to get used to flying. Luckily, it looked like Steve had left the area. I was able to get some good practice in when I heard Alex sounding off on her horn. I flew toward the sound and saw Alex was waiting for me.
Zozo, you did it! You're flying! This is great news!
Thanks! I just wish I knew where Steve's base was. One way or another, I've got to end this.
Well, I've got some good news for you. I found it!
I couldn't believe it. Maybe now we could finally get revenge for all the wrongs Steve had done. Even though I was feeling stronger though, I was still worried about how we could defeat Steve.
Steve is afraid of anything that might harm him, so he likes to keep that close to him. When we get to his base, we should take a look around. There might be something there that can help.
On days 90 to 94, I flew to Steve's base. As I landed outside the base, I met up with Alex. Wait a second, how did you beat me here? I was flying.
Oh, I have another highway set up, so I can get around pretty quick.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. So have you seen Steve?
Not yet. I think you should be good to head inside. I'll wait out here and let you know if Steve shows up.
Sounds like a plan. Stay safe. I took off and flew over the wall, landing in the courtyard. The place was full of half-dragon guards. Oh man, what happened to you guys? As I fought off the guards, I realized that these must have been Steve's failed dragon transformation experiments. That guy was twisted. Even though they were failed experiments, they were still really strong. I was able to hold them off, but I lost some pieces of my armor in the process. Whew, okay, that was tough. Let's move in deeper and see what we can find. On days 95 to 97, I moved even deeper into the base. Jeez, this place is huge! I soon found myself in what looked to be a forge room. I decided to take a look around and see if I could find anything that could help me in my fight. There was a cool dragon statue nearby. Then I noticed a chest was near it. I wonder what could be in here. I opened the chest and saw it was full of netherite gear. This just might give me the boost I need to win the fight. I kept on exploring when suddenly I was attacked by more of Steve's minions. How many of you guys are there? I smacked as many of them out of the way as I could. If there were guys down here, I must be getting close. I was finally going to be able to get my revenge. After I defeated the last of the minions, I came face to face with another one of Steve's stronger dragon guards. The last fight against one of you was hard. Let's hope this time can be better. We both sprang into action, hitting each other and firing off different attacks. He was still really strong, but my new equipment was doing its job. I managed to get him lined up with a cliff. Hang on to your horns! I gave him a good whack and sent him flying over the edge to his doom. Bet you wish you had the power to fly. On day 98, I moved even deeper into the base. It was starting to get really cold and wet. How deep underground had I gone? More guards? No problem. At this point, I was getting pretty good at fighting these guards. That's when I realized there was a dragon in a cage nearby. It was Sivith. I defeated the last of the guards, then hurried over to the cages. Hang on, I'll get you out. I used my sonic attack and opened up the cage, freeing my small friend. I was excited to see she was still alive, but had a question to ask her. I was scared to ask, but I had to know the answer. Sivith, I'm so happy you're alive. Have you by any chance seen my mother down here? A sad expression came over Sivith's face.
I have, but unfortunately she's gone. We were only both here for a short while, but I believe she saved my life.
What do you mean?
When Steve came to extract her powers from her, she gave him even more power than she needed to.
More power? Why would she do that? That just let him turn into a dragon sooner.
It's true, but you have to understand that she was out of time, and Steve would have used my power next. He was going to figure the transformation out, but your mom sacrificed herself to be sure Steve wouldn't need to hurt me too.
Wow, I understand. She was always looking out for others.
She also told me that she believed in you, and she knew even if Steve was able to harness dragon powers, you would be able to defeat him. She told me to give this to you when you arrived.
Sivith tossed something out on the ground. Warden's heart. Wow. This was a gift to my mom from my dad. I had always heard that there was a special power inside of it that combined the power of the dragon and the warden. But before I could investigate any further, I heard a noise from Alex's horn. Steve must be here. Come on, Sivith, let's get out of here. On day 99, Sivith and I arrived back outside of the base. Alex was waiting, and we hurried over to her.
Watch out! Steve is...
Just then, Steve came smashing down into the courtyard in his dragon form.
Sorry to break up the party, but you three have been getting on my nerves.
It's over, Steve. You might look like a dragon, but you will never truly be one. It's time for you to pay for your crimes.
Is that so? Well, come and get me, Warden.
Warden? Zozo, use the Warden's heart.
I quickly grabbed the Warden's heart and activated it. I felt an amazing amount of energy flow through me, and I leveled up into my strongest, most powerful form. I can feel the full power of the Ender Dragon and the Warden within me. You're going down, Steve. Steve let out a growl as we started to fight. We flew around, launching our dragon's breath at each other. The sound of our battle could be heard for miles. Give it up, Steve. I have the power of the two most powerful beings in the land. You can't hope to defeat me.
You're just a freaky mix of two creatures.
Hey man, look who's talking! I finally landed a powerful blow, which brought Steve down to his final heart. I soared high and dive-bombed him, delivering the final blow.
Oh, no!
Steve started to explode as his head spun violently. His entire being was glitching out of existence. And stay out of our land! On day 100, Sivith, Alex, and I all made it back to our base. We had lost our families and close friends, but together we would be our own new family. And if anyone else was in trouble, we'd be here to help them out.